Welcome, friend, to Dream Bites, a podcast where the magic of storytelling meets the power of imagination. Each episode is a warm invitation to explore a world unlike any other, carefully crafted to transport you to new realms of wonder. So, find a cozy spot, settle in, and let the friendly voice of our narrator be your guide on this exciting adventure. And now, dear listener, it's time to embark on today's delightful story.
The Stuffing Savers Society. Chapter 1. A Discovery in the Attic. Lumi, the well-worn stuffed cat, sat quietly on her shelf in the dusty attic. Her mismatched button eyes gazed out over the forgotten relics of bygone days, old trunks, faded photographs, and toys who had long since seen their last playtime. Lumi couldn't remember the last time her soft, patchy fur had been stroked by a loving hand. She missed the laughter, the hugs, the feeling of being needed. These days, her only companions were the dust motes dancing in the slivers of sunlight that crept through the attic's lone window. But more than the loneliness, what gnawed at Lumi was a deep sense of purposelessness. She yearned for more than just companionship. She longed to be useful, to make a difference in this world of forgotten things. And so, driven by this inner longing and a spark of irrepressible curiosity, Lumi clambered down from her perch one day. Her stitched paws sank into the thick layer of dust on the floor as she began to explore, leaving tiny paw prints in her wake. As she navigated through the labyrinth of boxes and crates, a glint of something shiny caught her eye. Tucked behind an old moth-eaten curtain was a tiny door, no taller than Lumi herself. How peculiar, Lumi thought, her whiskers twitching with intrigue. I've never noticed this before. With a gentle push of her paw, the little door creaked open, revealing a dark, narrow passage. Lumi's button eyes widened. The passage seemed to beckon her, promising adventure and perhaps, just perhaps, a reprieve from her aimless existence. She glanced back at her shelf, at the safe but solitary spot she had occupied for so long. Then, with a deep breath and a flick of her tail, Lumi stepped into the unknown. The passage was tight and dark, but Lumi pressed on, her fabric heart pounding with a mix of fear and excitement. Just as she began to wonder if the tunnel would ever end, she tumbled out into a bustling, brightly lit chamber. Lumi blinked, hardly believing her eyes. All around her, toys of every shape and size were moving about, talking, laughing, and working together. They were stitching up rips, restuffing limbs, and painting over scuff marks. It was a hive of joyful activity, a stark contrast to the silent, dusty attic above. "Welcome," a kindly voice said, "to the Stuffing Savers Society." Lumi turned to see an old, patched-up teddy bear smiling at her. He explained that the society was a secret organization of toys dedicated to rescuing and repairing their forgotten brethren from the attic above. As Lumi listened, a warm feeling grew in her stuffing. Here was a purpose, a reason to hope again. Without hesitation, she stepped forward. "Please," she said, her voice trembling with excitement, "let me help. Let me join you," and with a smile and a nod, the old bear welcomed Lumi to the team and to the beginning of an adventure she would never forget. For the first time in ages, Lumi felt a spark reignite within her, a sense of belonging and a mission to fulfill. Her days of lonely shelf-sitting were over, a new chapter had begun. Chapter 2. Training Days. Lumi's first days with the Stuffing Savers Society were a whirlwind of activity. As a new recruit, she had much to learn about the noble art of toy rescue and repair. Patches, the old teddy bear with a lone button eye gleaming with wisdom, took Lumi under his wing. "The first thing you need to know," he said, "is how to navigate the attic." Lumi followed Patches through a series of obstacle courses, learning to duck under low-hanging cobwebs, hop over creaky floorboards, and squeeze through narrow gaps between boxes. Despite her natural agility, Lumi struggled at times, her stuffing snagging on a loose nail or her paw getting stuck in a particularly sticky web. "I'm not sure I'm cut out for this," Lumi confessed after a particularly challenging run. Patches laid a reassuring paw on her shoulder. "Nonsense," he said. "It's not about being perfect. It's about perseverance." Encouraged, Lumi tackled the courses again and again until she could dart through the mock attic with ease. Next came lessons in spotting salvageable toys from Stitches, an old rag doll. "It's not about how they look," Stitches said softly. It's about the love they once held, and can hold again. Lumi took these words to heart as she practiced looking beyond the dust and grime to see the potential in even the most worn-out toy. But it was the art of repair that Lumi found most daunting. Nails, a wooden soldier, showed her how to sew a straight seam, replace lost stuffing, and repaint faded features. Lumi's first attempts were clumsy, her stitches crooked and her paint splotchy. I don't think I have the skill for this, Lumi sighed, looking at her lopsided handiwork. Nails chuckled kindly. Skill comes with practice, he said. Mending a toy is like mending a heart. It takes patience, care, and a gentle touch. So Lumi practiced, stitching and restuffing and repainting, until her work was as neat and sure as any other member of the society. As the weeks passed, Lumi grew not just in skill, but in confidence and camaraderie. She swapped stories with Patches, laughed with Stitches, and sang work songs with Nails. The sense of belonging she'd been craving filled her once lonely heart. Then came the evening when the leader, a wise old grandfather clock, announced that Lumi would soon embark on her first real mission. Excitement mixed with nervousness in Lumi's stuffing. Was she truly ready? But as she caught Patches's reassuring wink, Lumi felt a surge of determination. She had trained hard, learned from the best, and found a purpose. She was a stuffing saver, ready to make a difference, one toy at a time. With that happy thought, Lumi drifted off to sleep, her dreams filled with daring rescues and joyful reunions, a reflection of the hopes that now filled her heart. Chapter 3. The First Mission. The dawn's first light had barely crept through the attic's dusty window when Lumi stirred from her slumber, her fabric heart thrumming with anticipation. Today marked her first real mission as a stuffing saver. She scampered to the society's headquarters, where Patches and a handful of other toys huddled around a map of the attic. Patches tapped a far corner of the map. Our target is a teddy bear, well-loved but worn, in desperate need of our help. Lumi nodded, her mismatched eyes tracing the route they would take. It wouldn't be easy. The bear was nestled deep in the attic's farthest reaches, a domain ruled by the notorious attic rat, a fierce hoarder. Patches led the way as they set off, creeping past towering stacks of boxes and ducking under low-hanging rafters. Lumi's training kicked in, her paws silent on the dusty floor as she nimbly navigated the obstacles. As they neared their goal, a shadow loomed ahead. The attic rat emerged, his beady eyes glinting in the dim light, his paw clutching the tattered teddy bear. Well, well, he sneered. Thieves in my domain? Lumi stepped forward, her voice steady despite her pounding heart. We're not thieves. We're here to help that bear. He deserves a second chance, a new home. The rat's laughter was harsh and grating. This is my home, and everything in it is mine. Lumi's mind raced, recalling a trick Nails had taught her. She pointed behind the rat, her eyes wide. Look, a golden thimble! The rat whirled around, his greed momentarily overriding his suspicion. Seizing the opportunity, Lumi lunged forward, snatching the bear from the rat's grasp. Run! Lumi yelled. The team took off, the bear bouncing over Patch's shoulder as they fled. The rat's angry shouts echoed behind them, spurring them on faster, until they reached the safety of the society's headquarters. As Stitches and Nails set to work repairing the bear, Lumi sat back, a warm glow of accomplishment filling her stuffing. She had faced her fears, used her wits, and saved a toy in need. She was a true stuffing saver. The bear's eyes sparkled with renewed hope as his fur was fluffed and stitches mended. It was a look Lumi would never forget, a reminder of the joy their missions brought. That night, the bear joined them for a victory feast, his laughter mingling with the others as they celebrated a successful rescue. Looking around at her teammates, her new family, Lumi knew this was just the beginning. More toys awaited saving, more adventures to be had, and she was ready for them all. As Lumi settled into her bed that night, her dreams were filled not with the rat's snarls, but with the happy smiles of the toys she had helped and those yet to be rescued. It had been a good day, the first of many in her life as a stuffing saver. Chapter 4. A Leader Emerges. Lumi sat in the Stuffing Savers Society's cosy common room, her paws wrapped around a warm cup of imaginary tea. Around her, the other toys buzzed with excitement, discussing the latest rescue missions and repair techniques. But Lumi's mind was elsewhere, grappling with a growing sense of responsibility that came with her recent successes. She couldn't help but feel a flicker of doubt. Was she truly ready to lead? The thought both thrilled and terrified her. Lumi had always been content to follow, to learn from the wisdom of others. But now, the society was looking to her for guidance. Lumi's thoughts were interrupted by a gentle tap on her shoulder. It was Patches, his lone button eye twinkling with a mix of pride and seriousness. "Lumi," he said, "the leader wants to see you." As Lumi followed Patches to the leader's quarters, her stuffing twisted with nerves. The wise old grandfather clock greeted her warmly, his pendulum swinging in a reassuring rhythm. "Lumi," he began, his voice a soothing tick-tock, "your bravery and cleverness have not gone unnoticed. That's why we've chosen you to lead a special mission." Lumi swallowed hard, her doubts rising to the surface. "I'm honored, but are you sure I'm ready?" The leader smiled knowingly. "Leadership isn't about being perfect, Lumi. It's about having the courage to try, the wisdom to learn, and the heart to care. And you, my dear, have those qualities in abundance." With those words, Lumi felt a spark of courage ignite within her. She took a deep breath, her fabric heart swelling with determination. "I won't let you down." The next day, Lumi stood before her team, the key to the forgotten toy chest dangling from a ribbon around her neck. She looked at each face, seeing not just fellow savers, but friends who believed in her. "All right, everyone," she said, her voice steady despite her nerves. "We have a chest to open, toys to rescue, and not a lot of time. It won't be easy, but I know we can do this, together." As they set off, winding through the attic's maze, Lumi felt the weight of leadership with each step. When they reached the chest, buried under a mountain of old clothes, Lumi realized it was time to put her skills to the test. "We need a plan," she said, her mind racing. "Stitches, nails, start digging from the sides. Patches, you and I will tackle it from the top. We'll meet in the middle." As the team worked, Lumi found herself not just directing, but encouraging, problem-solving and adapting on the fly. And when the family's footsteps threatened their mission, it was Lumi's quick thinking that saved the day. Back at headquarters, surrounded by the grateful, newly rescued toys, Lumi felt a swell of pride. Not just for the successful mission, but for the growth she saw in herself. The leader beamed at her. "You see, Lumi, you had it in you all along." Lumi smiled back, realizing that leadership wasn't about being perfect, but about believing in yourself and your team. And with that belief, she knew she was ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. As preparations began for the next mission, Lumi picked up her needle and thread, a new confidence in her stitches. She was a leader now, a stuffing saver through and through, and she couldn't wait to see where this new chapter would take her. Chapter 5. The Joy of Giving. The night before the donation day, the headquarters of the Stuffing Savers Society was abuzz with activity. Lumi sat amidst a colourful sea of mended toys, her paws deftly stitching a final seam on a patchwork elephant. As she tied off the thread, Lumi paused, her mismatched eyes surveying the fruits of their labour. "They look wonderful," Patches said, settling down beside Lumi. "You've done an incredible job leading these rescues." Lumi smiled, but there was a tinge of sadness in it. "I'm going to miss them," she admitted, her paw resting on the elephant's soft trunk. "Especially this little one. We've been through so much together." Patches nodded, understanding in his lone button eye. "It's never easy to say goodbye," he said gently. "But remember, Lumi, this isn't an ending. It's a new beginning, for them and for the children who will love them." As they packed the toys carefully into boxes, Lumi held the elephant close. "You're going to make some child very happy," she whispered. "Never forget how much you're loved." The next morning, as the sun peeked through the attic window, the stuffing savers gathered to see their charges off. Lumi stood at the front, a proud but wistful smile on her face. "You've waited so long for this moment," she said to the toys, her voice soft. "To be loved again, to bring joy again, and that's exactly what you're going to do." As the boxes were carried away, Lumi felt a paw on her shoulder. It was Stitches, her fabric face etched with a knowing smile. "It's hard, isn't it?" she said, "letting them go. But that's the beauty of what we do. We mend more than just fabric and stuffing here. We mend hearts, theirs and in a way, our own." Lumi nodded, a revelation dawning. In helping these toys, in giving them a second chance, She had found her own purpose, her own joy. As the last box disappeared from view, Lumi turned to her team, her family. "Well," she said, a twinkle in her eye, "I don't know about you all, but I'm ready for our next adventure. There are so many more toys out there who need us." The headquarters filled with cheers and laughter, the sound of a team united in heart and purpose. And as they set to work, planning their next rescue, Lumi knew that this was where she belonged. A stuffing saver, a leader, a friend, mending toys and spreading joy, one stitch at a time. The attic awaited, full of new challenges and toys to save, and Lumi couldn't wait to see where their next mission would take them. The end.
And there you have it, dear listener. Another enchanting journey brought to life by the magic of storytelling. We hope that this tale has sparked your imagination and left you with a sense of wonder. As we close this chapter, remember that there's always another story waiting to be discovered. So keep your sense of curiosity alive and join us again for the next episode of Dream Bites. Until then, may your own adventures be filled with the same excitement and delight as the ones we've shared here. And always remember, the power of imagination knows no bounds. Thank you for being a part of the Dream Bites story. See you next time.